My guest today is Mr. Matlub Ahmad, former president of FBCCI, which is the Federation of Bangladesh Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and a very, very successful business person. He's the chairman of Nitol-Niloy Group. And I'll tell you just a little bit about that group. He started out in 1981. And then later on, of course, through a joint venture with Tata Motors and diversification into many industries, refineries, cement, technology, and of course, automobiles. So without further ado, I can keep on talking about him. We will not get into the meat of our discussion that way. So a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Ahmad.
Thank you, Mr. Akber Hakim. I'm glad to join you today.
So I'm continuing my conversation with Mr. Matlub Ahmad, who happens to be also the president of India-Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My line of questioning now would be something that we have been seeing in the social media of late has caused quite a bit of stir, and not only in Bangladesh, but also in India as well. Now, I will set the premise first before I go to Mr. Ahmad, which is this. This is how I look at it in the sense that India has been one of our closest and dearest friends from the very get-go, starting from supporting the millions of refugees that in 1971 to being our partner shoulder to shoulder with us during our independence struggle. And who hasn't in Bangladesh traveled to India many, many times? And as our audience knows, at one time, it used to be all one big happy place. I don't want to keep going on and on. I want to hear from you, and our viewers want to hear from you as to this latest per capita where Bangladesh is going to accelerate and move forward compared to India. Your views on that, Mr. Ahmad, as the president of India-Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Well, the first and foremost thing I would like to tell you that India is huge. Bangladesh is very, very small compared to India. It's almost like Singapore and Malaysia. So there's a vast difference. They've got so many people, and they have got rich people, poor people, elderly people. Now, once you go for a per capita income, the total income is divided by the number of people. So, first of all, India needs to have a much bigger net income to really grow its per capita income than Bangladesh. So, we must always keep in mind that it is not the per capita income which really tells you the status of the country. What tells you the status is, are we doing well in minimizing the poverty? Are we doing well in minimizing the jobless youth? Are we doing well in educating the youth and the society in not only in normal education, formal education, but also technical education? These are the parameters which is important. Look at the number of universities that is in India. Look at the amount of hospitals and special treatment that is in India. So all these things need to come in. Well, Bangladesh as a country can have good per capita income, can have a very good GDP. But if the people, general people are poorer and does not gain the benefits of a rich country, then there's no fun. So what I'm trying to say, yes, we are happy. But as you rightly said, we are not competitors. Why we are not competitors is because we are not of the same size. If we were as large as India, then I would have agreed with you that yes, let us compete. We can't. So over and above that, India has got technologies, India has got raw materials. We have almost nothing. Still we grow because we are basically a trading nation. And traders, as you know, always makes money and much easier life than a manufacturer. And therefore, Bangladesh needs to convert itself into a manufacturing hub of the world. This is the time for Bangladesh. COVID-19, USA, China's relationship, this has all created new avenues for Bangladesh. Let us forget where our per capita income is going. Let us see how much of those investments we can bring in. Let us see how much of those businesses we can do from Bangladesh to the world. This is our lifetime chance. COVID-19 has brought suffering, but COVID-19 has brought us new opportunities. We must pick up now as a business, as an industry, as a country.
You are a business person through and throughout, a very successful one at that. So let me now ask you some few specific business questions as it relates to India. One is the trade imbalance that we see with India. What are your views on that? What can Bangladesh do to narrow that gap?
Well, very good question. We used to worry a lot about trade gaps. India was our largest trading partner, but now it is China. Very few people realize that China's trade gap is much larger than India's trade gap with Bangladesh.
Sure.
Now, why do we do that? What happens to India and Bangladesh trade? If you look at the India-Bangladesh trade and our imports from India to Bangladesh, maximum items of import are industrial raw materials, which we use in our industries, create jobs, create goods, and then use them here or export it. So when you find that you have more raw materials than finished products, the country is in good place. The question here then, why from India? Why not from other countries? Of course, all business and industry will buy from the cheapest source. The source which is good enough for his industry and good enough in the quality, good enough in the product. Our economy and Indian economy gels together. We like each other in most of the product that we buy from India or they buy from us. So that is the secret of the trade between India and Bangladesh. And today, we are not worried on trade imbalance. We are worried on trade expansion. India, in order to allow Bangladesh to reduce the trade gap, because no countries want it in any form, they gave us one-way duty-free in 2011. And that helped us to cross $1 billion mark last year. And today we are hovering around $1.25 billion exports to India and growing. Today, what we are doing more, we are trying to bring in Indian investments into Bangladesh to produce Indian branded products here for re-export to India and the world. These are the ways that India is coming forward in trying to reduce the trade gap. It is not Bangladesh. We cannot do it because we don't have those products. India has got almost everything that we have. How do you export more? And we import what we need. So I'm not worried on the trade gap. I'm worried on how to employ our young youths, how to bring in the Indian giants into Bangladesh, how to bring in the fallout investments of China into Bangladesh for re-exports to India. So all these things are now in the platter. So let us not try to look backwards. Let's try to look forwards in trying to expand more into India by producing it in Bangladesh. That's the only way to reduce the trade gap permanently.
Mr. Ahmad, the overall premise I do not disagree with, but there are some particular areas where, like for example in jute, where we could have exported, but then there are these barriers that are erected to where it is not possible for us. From your position, I would hope, and I'm sure you are cognizant of that, and you're working towards easing those barriers so that whatever avenues that we have, so we can export more. Let me now talk about this conference last year that you and I both went to in Assam with the Seven Sisters and creating the connectivity through Bangladesh and the use of Mongla port and what have you to ease their landlocked status that they find themselves in. Your views on that? How far along are we in that front? And of course, let me also add, if I may, you know, we are more than happy, of course, we're more than happy to be, because we like our foreign relations, you know, what we say is friendship to all, malice to none, especially for a neighboring country like India. You know, obviously, our arms of friendship are always extended. But nevertheless, there are some thornier issues which is, our roads, the connectivity, our rivers, navigability of the rivers, expansion of the port. So what are your views on that? Is India going to be a partner in providing us with some of the support that we need to extend the corridor that we want to extend? Please, your views.
Well, you have hit upon a situation which is a reality created by the partition of India. Before India-Pakistan was born, the Northeast and Bangladesh were only one land. And all the rivers, roads, railways, whatnot, were thought about as a single area. As soon as East Pakistan was born, the entire concept got cut out. And therefore, most of the Northeastern India got cut out and they became landlocked. So it is not India's or Bangladesh's doing of the partition people. What we are doing now, from the visit of our Honored Prime Minister to Delhi in 2010, from that onwards, we have started working on the connectivity issues. Today we have done a lot. We have got many of the railways reconnected, many of the roads reconnected, many of the land ports restarted, and we have added the border huts to make it more attractive for the bordering people. Overall, both the nations have understood that these areas need to be well connected in order to develop the Northeastern countries. It is not the Bangladesh's need, it is the India's need for this connectivity. It is the India's need, the Northeastern India's need to use our ports, to use our hinterland, and to communicate with the mainland India through Bangladesh. Fortunately, we have now the riverine routes on, the railways routes on, the road routes are on, and we are expanding very fast. The Assam program which we had, after that we have this riverine route, Brahmaputra route opened up. We have now the two riverine ports opened up after that program. Trial runs on riverine route boats, and even tourism boats will go up to Assam via the Brahmaputra from Bangladesh. All these things are coming up. In the bottom line, what I am trying to tell you is both the governments are alert on this. The people of both the nations are also alert on this, and everybody wants this to happen as soon as possible. It's only a question of time, because each of these small northeastern states are different governments, and Bangladesh is a foreign country, and therefore all these rules, regulations have to be vetted from Delhi. That takes time, but I can tell you very soon we can have breakfast in Dhaka and lunch somewhere on way to Nepal and dinner in Nepal, driving your car without need to change your transport.
Mr. Ahmad, I'm a firm believer of the abundance model. When you put your heads together, when you put your capacities together, the overall pie increases in size. So I'm a firm believer of the abundance model. But at the same time, Mr. Ahmed, so long as it is equitable, the partnership, whenever a partnership is not equitable, it may look good on the surface, but it doesn't last. So we have obviously in the past, there has been areas in which we would want India as our big sister to solve some of the issues that we have been talking about, especially the water sharing and stuff like that for the longest time. So I'm sure all of these things are being looked at very closely and worked on. But in any event, let me just switch gears now and ask you about K2K, which is Kunming to Kolkata. That was being talked about quite a few years back, quite a bit. But then, unfortunately, the Rohingya issue marred the entire concept of K2K. Where do you see that at the present time, Mr. Ahmed?
The Kolkata Kunming, the rally, many of our Tata vehicles were there, and we were part of it when they crossed Bangladesh. We were quite hopeful because at that time, India and China was trying to expand the relationship, which they did. But with the current situation in Ladakh and the current relationship between India and China and the current wish of both the nations to be the leader of this area, I'm afraid Kolkata to Kunming thing will be sleeping now for quite some time. So it's India and its neighbor outside China. And China is trying to grab the same neighbors in its own way. So China is approaching Bangladesh with wonderful gifts, 97% duty free, this, that. India is also giving 100% duty free, $8.5 billion soft loans, etc., etc. And now if you see, no country actually gives you equitable proportion, never. You have to grab it, gain it by yourself. Look at Bangladesh. 2005, USA removed the MFN status from Bangladesh. And everyone was thinking that Bangladesh will fail in the garments industries, as the other countries had failed. But Bangladesh did not fail. It improved today. Now you find recently the US people coming here and offering duty free from both sides.
Mr. Ahmad, one of the areas where I have very keenly watched, and I once again applaud the current government, that they have very carefully balanced. If you think about it, we got Rampal, Russian investment, we got Indian investment, we got Matarbari with the Japanese investment, and then we got the Chinese. So we haven't really gone into one camp or another. So we have done a hell of a job, I must say. You started out by saying certain things that are very, very absolutely true. India has some fine institutions, in educational institutions that they had invested in a long, long time back that is paying dividends. So Bangladesh ought to learn from that. India has some fine medical facilities and hospitals, and large segment of our people travel to India for treatment as well. So those areas, so there is a lot for us to learn as well from the Indian story. So your closing thoughts, Mr. Ahmad, closing remarks in terms of one area we did not cover, which is why do we find in Bangladesh that we have to employ so many Indian people of Indian origin from Sri Lanka and stuff that gets drained because of, it's business houses like yours, Mr. Ahmad, that employ these people. So why do we do that? Please, can you reflect on that as well?
Well, this is a very interesting question. We have raised this topic with the Honorable Prime Minister several times, and she has also started action taking on it. See, our education system is pre-partition of India-Bangladesh system. That is when Bangladeshi people thought of being highest would be a good clerk. Look at Bangladesh now, we're investing multi-billion dollars in industries, employing so many people. But the education system is still bent on the British old system of producing clerks. If you look at our education system, most of them are MBA, BBA, not technical. Even today, if you study in Polytechnic, you are supposed to be not studying at all. The whole system has to change. 70% of our people has to be technically educated. They have to be the hands to run our industries, to run the future. So our technical education needs to make a quantum jump. Our normal education has to go down. From class 7 and 8, there should be one technical subject. After class 10, 70% of the people must go to technical college. 30 will go for normal education, from where professors, teachers, doctors will come. Unless we do that, we cannot let our 2 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore worth of machine to a Bangladeshi who does not know how to run it. We get young people from Manila to run a paper mill. Whereas we have good educated people here, they don't have the technology to run a paper mill. So what I'm trying to say, till we change our education system to a technical education system and keep 30% gap for the knowledge-based, knowledge expansion-based education, the country will have to keep on importing these technical people from abroad and waste $7 to $10 billion a year. The more industrialization we are going into, the more drainages will happen. No way out. Otherwise, our industries will go down. We'll have no survival rate. We have to change the education system. Only then we will get people who can run our industries. We don't need from everybody.
In this one area, I agree with you 100%. 100%. I have said it over and over again that our system, not everyone needs to go to college. For what? I mean, you know, to come out as functional illiterates? This mass scale BBAs and MBAs, for heaven's sake. I totally agree with you. We need technical hands. We need a lot of vocational education. People that can run these expensive machineries and what have you. And educational institutions need to have change, mindset change also, and understanding the needs of the business and what they are producing. I would like to thank you so very much for joining us for your precious time today. And at the same time, I would like to thank our viewers for joining us today. Stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next session. Bye-bye.